Okay, thank you for joining our webinar today. We will be discussing how to unlock AI potential with Codility AI skills assessments for technical and non-technical talent. We are so excited to bring this topic to you today, so thank you very much for joining us. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As you probably noticed when we started the session, today's session is being recorded and a playback link will be sent to all registrants and attendees for your playback enjoyment and to share as needed. What you will be seeing today is live and available already to Codility customers. So it's ready for your immediate use. And at the end of the demo, before Q&A, we will provide a way for interested parties to reach out and learn more. We've got a QR code. You can scan it and reach out to somebody to learn more about the topic that we're discussing today. Alternatively, if you are already a Codility customer, you can reach out to your Codility representative. So because we do have lots of customers in attendance, but also folks who are prospects or not yet familiar with Codility, I just want to take a few moments to introduce Codility, tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do, and why you're interested, but hopefully in learning from us today about this topic. We are the technical skills assessment platform category creator. Our founders created the category 15 years ago, and we help tech-enabled and tech-driven organizations make data-driven, skill-based hiring and management decisions. We started the category and lead it today because of our deep commitment to infusing the principles of assessment science into everything that we build. And that's really going to be highlighted today in the presentation that we have for you. As you can see from the sampling of our customer logo slides, we work with some of the best engineering departments in the world. Their feedback helps us improve and build this platform, and it's one of the reasons that we're really a standout leader. You can see some of the badges that were recognized down there below. And yeah, so what we're talking about today, assessment science, AI skills, ML skills, it's really going to come into the fore. It's why I'm so glad I'm joined by Neil and Grigori here, and wanted to bring that forward. I think I skipped over the introductions here, actually. So Dr. Neil Morelli is our chief IO psychologist. He runs the assessment science department at Codility. His team and him are deeply embedded in all things assessment science. You may notice that I am not Laura. Laura, who was originally scheduled to join us today, has been under the weather, so I'm stepping in. And then we also have Dr. Grigori Melnik, who is a Codility advisor. Grigori has a deep background in all things AI and machine learning. So highly relevant to the topic today, which we will go ahead and dive on into. Neil's going to set us up before we get into the framework with a little bit of context about where we stand today in terms of AI. It's been a huge topic for a long time, and his team is paying super close attention to it. So let's do a little scene setting and understand just a lay of the land before we dive in. Thanks, Neil.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. It's good to be here. Really excited to talk about this. We've been studying it closely, as Lindsay said, and really excited to share what we've learned and where we're going with you today. So I wanted to share this figure, this chart with you, because you've probably been to other webinars about AI, how it's changing everything, and how we're living through all these changes now, but it tends to get talked about at a very high level. Well, I love this chart from the World Economic Forum. They did an analysis of 19,000 different tasks across almost 900 different jobs. And they're able to measurably show the impact that AI is going to have by job function. So the way to interpret this chart here is to look at the light blue bars and to see how long they are. The longer the light blue bars are, the more of an impact on individual job tasks by function you can see. So of course, we have IT and technology having the most exposure to automation and augmentation. We hear those words a lot when AI gets discussed as far as its impact on work. So that's important for us to understand. It's important for us to think about, well, how is AI impacting the technical roles in our organization, and to expect and be ready for the types of automation augmentation to really understand what types of skills employees will need in these roles because they're going to have the most exposure. So that's one reason I really love this chart. Another reason is that it shows the impact of AI on other job functions. So you can see job functions like finance, customer sales, operations, HR, marketing. These other job functions will be heavily impacted by AI. We've all heard this, but this is a real measurable way to look at it at a task level. So we're about to get into a new year. It's really a focus on business efficiency. So we need to adapt to AI's impact on these job functions and really be able to take advantage of the efficiency gains that AI offers. But one of the biggest barriers to AI, to really adopting it well, is to have the skills that you need within the organization. So we thought it would be really helpful to talk about what those skills are. They're a bit of a moving target. They're evolving and unfolding, but for us, we really want to focus on what we want to measure and then get into how we want to measure it in a little bit. And that will be what we get into the demo in just a moment. So we actually came up with a little bit of a framework or a model to help us understand what those skills are by how employees are engaging with AI tools. So we'll go through each of these layers in this little pyramid here, layer by layer. But I thought I'd just kind of briefly explain it so that we have just some orientation, some categories to talk about these skill requirements. So the first is AI builders. So these are the employees, the folks where AI or ML is core to the value that they're delivering. And so they're actually building AI agents and applications. We also have AI assisted developers, which is all of your more traditional engineering cohorts and the engineering organization that can be enhanced. Their delivery, their efficiency and quality can be enhanced by AI. So they're focusing on how to incorporate it into their workflow. And then we also have AI users. So these are the people that are driving business efficiency across all different types of teams, all those different job functions that we just talked about a moment ago. So this model here, it's important to remember that the sort of the each layer doesn't really indicate the importance of each of these roles, but really more of the scale and breadth in the organization. So as we go sort of down foundationally, we have a lot more people that are going to be impacted in that way. So it's important for companies that are even tech companies or tech adjacent to understand what these skills are. And we're going to talk through each of these layers right now. So as we get into the first one, the AI builders, where AI and ML is core to the product and customer value, I thought I'd bring Grigori into this conversation. As Lindsey said, he has a lot of expertise in this area. And Grigori, as a newer advisor to Codility, maybe you could just give a little bit more of your background and kind of walk us through this top layer here.
Certainly. And greetings, everyone. Excited to be here and really excited about this new solution, new content pack that we're bringing to all of you. I'm Grigori Melnik. I'm a technologist. I've been in this industry for over 25 years, and I like to describe my contribution to the field as somebody who builds tools to make other people more effective at what they do. And that includes all kinds of tools. A lot of them are highly technical tools for engineers, software engineers, quality engineers, security engineers, IT ops. And I was fortunate enough to deliver all of those products through companies like Microsoft and Splunk and MongoDB, Tricentis and Cribble. So now collaborating with Codility in making sure that the new set of skills that everybody needs are properly captured, properly articulated, properly assessed, properly up-leveled. I'm very, very excited about what Codility is doing in this space. And again, happy to dive deeper into what we're delivering now.
Great. I want to talk through, because I have had the benefit of some of these customer conversations around some of the challenges that we're facing here. Gregory, I expect, before I dive into my firsthand knowledge from our customers, that a lot of this is highly resonant to companies that you've worked with in the past too. Can we talk through some of the challenges expected at this level?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a former CTO and CPO, I've seen all these challenges firsthand, and I don't think I need to be stating the obvious in terms of this colossal demand for the AI skills that we're already experiencing today. So it's not just like something that's coming, but this is already happening. It's very, very, very difficult to find skilled professionals in this space. So we have this balance, discrepancy of the huge demand and very, very slow growth in supply, practically no growth that we can enjoy quite yet, even though lots of people are, thinking and planning of doing some moves. The challenge also comes from again, given the fact that this is so new to a lot of people. How do you even know? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurial startups as well as individuals who very, very, very quickly claim expertise and the level of proficiency in AI and ML. After perhaps just playing a little bit with the Gen AI tooling, and it's very, very, very difficult to be able to truly get a sense of hey, these claims, are they legit or not? And then again, if that's the situation, so again, you cannot easily assess and validate. What do you do if you need to go and start an AI initiative? If you want to get some of these things rolling within your enterprises, within your strategic priorities, you end up either going through your network or looking at the credentials, and perhaps some people do have backgrounds in ML or math statistics, but again, the number of those people is very, very, very small. And even if you have budgets to hire more, the challenge is that there's simply not enough in the market to be able to draw from. If you're only relying on your network, then the challenge there is that you are limiting yourself to the bandwidth of what the network allows, and you also exposing yourself to potential biases. I don't know, Lindsey, if you see similar situations through your lens and through what Codility sees in their customer base.
Yeah, so as we've been preparing the go-to-market team to talk about this initiative, this content pack with the market, and we've been gathering feedback with customers, this really does match a lot of the challenges that we're hearing from them. So one conversation that comes to mind is with one of our high-tech customers. It's a B2B SaaS company. They sell marketing tech. And in the last several years, like before the big AI boom, they had been sort of progressively introducing some AI features into their platform. They were a little bit ahead of the curve there. And then when that big AI wave hit, they found themselves with a highly salient product because everybody wanted to take advantage of the efficiencies that could be gleaned by using platforms that have AI ingrained in it. So highly salient product with the corresponding need to scale up that part of their engineering team, while at the same time as everybody else is coming to that same realization, the talent market was so tight they just couldn't buy the talent at any price practically, and the people who are building the product just do not have the time to do the sourcing themselves, to read through every background, and to really have a high degree of confidence that the people that they are bringing in or even interviewing have the skills beyond the sort of the knowledge base or beyond what you can glean from looking at a credential. So it's one thing to have theoretical knowledge or academic knowledge, but how can you confirm that somebody can actually do the real job and translate that to work? So really relevant challenges. When we showed them the content, this content pack that we're talking about today, they were super duper excited about it. It's going to solve exactly the problem they're having with their hiring funnel for this type of AI builder persona. So I wonder, Grigori and Neil, can you explain for those who didn't get the sneak peek what it is that we're measuring for this type of AI builder persona? What are the skills that are necessary, and what are we looking at?
Sure, Neil, do you want me to jump in, or I
Yeah,
can
go
give you
ahead.
the outline of skills, and then, when it comes to actual measurements, I'm sure Neil will be happy to share as well. So again, this is, as a reminder, this is targeting the situations where you are looking for engineers, you're looking for practitioners who are doing one of two things. They may be building and training and validating the models, the AI models themselves, or they may be building the systems, the agents, the multi-agentic systems as well, that actually are taking advantage of the models, either the ones that they built themselves or the ones that were built by somebody else. Again, that's a secondary concern there, and they kind of stitch it all together into this fabric of the application or the system that delivers value. And as a part of doing that, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces, and it definitely goes beyond some activities that people might think that are involved here. So what we're talking about here, and the reason we even started putting this content back together, because we recognize, and I had this, again, this experience firsthand when I needed to scale my team at Tricentis beyond the AI Labs team that existed for a number of years. And we decided that part of our product strategy is going to involve infusing the AI capabilities across the entire portfolio. And it dawned on me that, well, the reality is that now I need to get pretty much every single engineer to be up-leveled and to be trained on these capabilities. But then the question became, well, okay, training, what do I do? What kind of training do I bring on board? And through the workshops, or I don't know, buying Pluralsight or whatever, the discrepancy in the foundational knowledge, in the foundational layer, are so great that I wish I had tools like Codility now has, to be able to classify the various groups of people, and then do my training and up leveling, and then ultimately the assignments of people into different initiatives accordingly. So this includes something as basic as fundamentals of theory of probabilities and statistics that probably most of people who have gone through computer science or electrical computing engineering or software engineering school have done, but there's a lot of people in our industries who haven't, and that's perfectly fine. There's been a couple of eras where going and learning and training on the job and going through learning the languages and frameworks and libraries was sufficient for you to be able to build what needed, or assemble what needed to be assembled, and that was fine. That's not going to cut it. In the era of AI, especially, again, we're talking about at the level of modeling, at the level of training these models, at the level of validating them, at the level of optimizing them, and dealing with problems like overfitting of data, dealing with problems like figuring out the performance of these models, what kind of implications do they have. I don't think this would be news to you guys that, again, AI is very, very expensive to run, especially if you are building your own models and not even the large language models. But so again, making sure that people have all the appropriate background and can take into the considerations memory requirements, storage requirements, energy requirements. This is kind of part of what I expect people who would be building these applications to know. I expect people to know how to deal with the rudimentary constructs of machine learning. And again, everything from perhaps either selecting the model that's already exists, or at least selecting the type of a model that you're going to build, and then proceeding with all the steps required for you to build, train, validate the model, or take that model and then incorporate it as part of your application, and do that in a way that is actually production ready. There's a very, very big difference. And this is where, again, you have to be careful whether you're just bringing on board data scientists or data engineers who are familiar with that, or if you, again, trying to get everybody on your team, every software engineer, to acquire these skills. Because, again, just the mere fact that somebody is familiar with the machine learning part and deep learning part is not sufficient for you to be able to truly incorporate these new innovations in the processes, in the workflows, in your business transactions, in your applications. So we are covering all of those concerns. We're covering all of those areas, from, as I said, the basics all the way to the advanced topics, all the way to the topics of deep learning, all the way to the topics of augmentation, all the way to the topics of splitting the data, all the way to the topics of selecting your vector databases, building your data pipelines, building feature stores, and so on and so forth. The curriculum, that's the way how I like to think about it. The coverage is very broad, and it covers a lot of important aspects of being a top level competent professional who is able to do all of this.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add real quick. I mean, Grigory's an expert in all of the specific skills, the knowledge areas, the tech stack, all of the roles, and just did a really good job laying all of those out. From a testing, assessment design, talent acquisition strategy standpoint, we want to help you reduce a lot of that complexity into a skill taxonomy that is well defined and well labeled. And so we have made really large strides in taking our existing engineering skill model, which is that comprehensive skill taxonomy, and blending it with the new AI skills and AI builder skills in particular that Grigory just went over. So I think that really helps translate what all of these roles and jobs require and entail, and bring it into how do I actually get this into a talent assessment, either for pre-hire selections, talent acquisition decisions, or for post-hire learning development and general workforce development. So we'll be talking a little bit about that and show you how that looks like in the platform as well. And with that being said, I also just wanted to introduce this next layer. So we were talking about the very specialized, very in-depth skill requirements of AI builders, but there's also a very large pool of engineers that are now being assisted with AI tools. So this is our next focus, and it's something that we hear more and more about. We know engineers are adopting AI tools, AI assistants into their everyday work. We got done with a work analysis, a pretty comprehensive work analysis of the different ways engineers of all different kinds are incorporating AI tools into their workflow, and have then translated that into the skills, into a skills models I just mentioned. So this is also a very important layer to understand. So I'm curious, Lindsey, what are some of the challenges that you're also hearing from our customers as we are interacting with this new type of talent?
Yeah, I mean, since day one, when the original ChatGPT model was on the scene, we started hearing from practically every customer with this exact sort of layer of use case in mind. Everybody was looking for ways to figure out how they can empower their engineering teams with AI for both efficiency and quality gains, and all practically running up against the same sort of themes of challenges. The first being that the frontline managers that are responsible for hiring and responsible for upskilling their existing teams, it just was not clear, and to some extent still is not, what are the skills that matter and how to measure those. That challenge sort of begets challenge number two, which is when that's fuzzy, to the extent that any kind of enablement on these skills is happening in an organization, it's not happening consistently because it hasn't been broadly identified and agreed on. There's a team over here who's got a hunch of what's important. There's a team over here who has a method of trying to sort of understand a little bit about someone's AI capabilities as it relates to integrating and using for efficiency. But because it's not standardized, it's not as efficient or relevant or consistent as it should should be across the organization. So obviously not as beneficial as it could be. And last but not least, even in the best case scenario where teams are broadly aligned on something that is important to measure, a skill that's critical that they think is important, that goalpost is changing constantly. This is a space that's evolving so rapidly that just because something is, useful today, let's call it, to understand if someone knows how to do a particular skill, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a durable skill. And so then they have to just start from scratch and reinvent this process. And they really suffer from not having a partner that is keeping abreast of all of these trends and keeping ahead of it, identifying what's important and how to measure it and what's going to be durable and transferable into the future. So an example that comes to mind is like, even the way that we talk about what prompting and prompt engineering means has changed so much since the first days of, what it meant to use AI on the job as an engineer back, in GPT 3.5, we all were talking about prompt engineering. So I'm sure we'll talk about how that term has even evolved soon here, but that's an example that comes to mind and what we hear from customers often. Gregory, you've got to have a point of view on this layer of the broad reaching implications of AI for the, AI assisted engineers.
No, yeah, absolutely. And then again, there's a lot of new development happening from all the co-pilots, whether it's from Microsoft, GitHub, or Salesforce, or like pretty much everybody is now delivering those. But again, that's not just that, right? You want to make sure that the engineers, the developers in this case, who take advantage of these, that they're doing this consciously, that they have knowledge and skills to actually make these decisions, to make the selections, to make the evaluation of these tools properly, but also to recognize the limitations, right? And I go back to the fact that, again, when you are utilizing these tools, it's very easy to misinterpret AI as the artificial irresponsibility, and I don't want that to be the case. So again, using AI to assist in the day-to-day jobs and to gain the efficiencies, but at the same time recognizing what AI is capable of giving you and what it's not, is critically important.
Yeah, and just again to plug our skill taxonomy, the engineering skill model, there are skills in there that really are applicable to this layer. Lindsey, you mentioned prompt writing. We have prompt writing and prompt engineering as identifiable skills in our model, but as you said, prompt engineering is changing. That might even be more of an AI builder type skill, especially as the tools and the models get better and better at facilitating their own prompts. So if you get a prompt directionally correct, it can really bring you the last bit of the way, whereas you need a little bit more of a very like dissected approach, a more intentional approach to getting the inputs or the outputs that you expect. So we have skills like that we want to identify, define, and then have a methodology to measure them, which is going to be important for a lot of different roles. And we've already seen that in some of the observations that we've made about how engineers are using AIs to assist them in their everyday work, from outsourcing tasks that they don't do every day, to referring to documentation, to building smaller tools that help them get their work done in a faster, more efficient way. So the use cases are pretty wide, and so we need to have generalizable skills that can capture all of those, which is really good. But speaking of generalizable use cases for AI, we know that there are AI users that are non-technical, and they cover lots of different job roles. And what was interesting is when you look at a lot of the AI adoption statistics, you see kind of lower organizational level, company level adoption, but you see very high individual level adoption, and people have called that shadow AI in different ways and different labels. So we know that people are using these tools, and it's good to start to understand what are the skills that are required to perform well with them, to be successful with them. And then as we start to adopt them at more of an organizational company level, can we fold those requirements and those labels and those measurements into our talent processes, from hiring to development to training? we need to start being able to better identify those. And this is where we're at today. Lindsey, what are you seeing with this layer? What's top of mind for you?
This is the latest flavor of requests that we're hearing from customers is, we're all in on AI enabled developers and builders. But because 2025 is going to be this year of efficiency, and because that's been a theme for a little while here, our customers are also wondering, and they're coming to us, they're saying, well, how do I understand what AI literacy means for non-technical employees or non-technical candidates? What does it mean for someone in a different business unit to use these tools well? And it's a fantastic question, and it's a natural, evolution of the adoption, as you mentioned, Neil. So as a company that was founded on assessing technical skills of technical talent, the convergence of those two, I guess, concepts with what we've historically thought of as non-technical talent is really exciting. It opens a lot of doors, and our customers are excited about it too. If you gauge the number of requests for this kind of content as any indicator. So what are we, Neil, what have your team been researching on the skills that are important for this group, and what are we building out for that type of use case?
Yeah, I think the best way to think about this is to borrow a lot of the thinking and research on AI literacy. And so that's a pretty wide knowledge base. I mean, it gets into understanding the capabilities and limitations of AI tools. Some of the fundamentals are helpful at this level, but it's also about being able to proofread the output. It's sometimes in that prompt writing skill sets that we talked about earlier. So we really want to look at this from different angles, not knowing how exactly the ways people are going to implement them. So we need to look at a little bit more of that foundational level, and especially around AI literacy. That's a challenge, is that there's right now, just especially among pretty wide workforce or talent pools, there's relatively lower knowledge of those fundamental AI literacy skills. So we need to better benchmark those, but we also need to define them so that we can train to those, that we can equip people, and they're hungry for that type of support. That's one statistic that I think is really interesting. Even though companies are still not totally comfortable with integrating and adopting them into workflows right now, employees, when you ask them, they're hungry for that type of support and that knowledge as they are already adopting them on their own or organically. So it's really important to have these skills listed out and defined.
Yeah, and if I may just add a little bit here, if you're thinking about the prompting and the prompt engineering techniques that were mentioned earlier, but even prior to that, coming to the point where you want to be able to select the right model or the right tool to interact with. You want to be able to then, later with the results to do storytelling. That's a skill. Storytelling with the data, storytelling with the results of AI. Thinking about another very, very large area, thinking about the limitations and implications of using the AI. And this is the ethical considerations, privacy considerations, security consideration, compliance. There's a lot of these topics that you want to make sure that even if you are targeting non-developers, non-engineers, but your AI users, especially the decision makers, especially if they're impacting your business processes, you want to make sure that this is covered. You want to make sure that these AI users have a solid understanding, and a lot of it is actually this is something that should be recognized is moving very, very, very fast. So for us, again, while we were able to identify some of the skills and actually encapsulate them in the form of tasks and questions and activities, the one thing that is key to recognize is that this is something that will need to be updated continuously and quite a lot, and we're prepared to do that.
Yeah, so exciting. I think this is a perfect opportunity to see a little bit of it live now that we've laid out the framework of how we've been thinking about different users engaging with AI in the workplace. So Neil, do you want to give us a little spin in the platform here?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Let me share my screen. So we're getting into the Codility platform, as Lindsey said, which is the exciting part of this presentation. So this is the home screen. We're now getting into the task library, and I just wanted to show you that real quickly because, as I mentioned a few times, we've spent a lot of time building out a skill taxonomy, all of the skills that are critical and important to roles at these different levels with these new AI skills. So we've got over 1,000 different tasks in our library that capture all different technology languages and frameworks, but we also capture them at a skill level, which, as I mentioned previously, this is really important for an assessment design, assessment strategy standpoint. So we want to really focus on building assessments that are job relevant and are tapping into the things that matter. With that said, at the AI builder level, I did want to show you a task that we've designed to look at image classification. So here we have a TensorFlow task. So candidates or employees, whoever's taking the assessment, are building a convolutional neural network to classify images. And in this case, they're trying to classify them whether they're carrots or sweet corn. So it's pretty agnostic to a particular scenario. It's pretty generalized, but they are actually working within a VS Code environment. So this is a type of developer environment that has all the features that a developer would expect to have in a real world software engineering environment or AI engineering environment. And as I said, we have the task. We have the different data sets that are split into training, validation, and test data sets. And when we come in here and start to build our solution, which I'll do real quick, and let me pull this up. When we start to build our solution, you can actually see how the model is being trained. So it's actually compiling and running and building the model. So as a test taker would actually complete this solution, they can see their model here working. So it's important for this type of task to measure skills like the ones that Grigori mentioned earlier. So these are our ML model building tasks, our skills. They're building the ML solutions. They're focusing on these more hyper-specialized AI engineering and builder skills in a much more demonstrable way within a real-life coding environment. The other cool thing is that when we want to try to measure AI evaluating the models, candidates or test takers can write their own tests to validate the output and the models themselves. So this is one. Go ahead, Gary.
Sorry, before we move to the other example, I just can't stress this enough, that basically, again, what you see here is the use of the real world tools. VS Code is a de facto IDE now for the engineers. This is the case where it's now embedded inside the Codility platform, inside your browser. You don't have to go and spin up any other tools, but you have the real VS Code at your fingerprints. You have the projects and the structure of the projects with the preloaded data and stubs, and then you have all the tooling, the debuggers and lookups and everything. Everything is there, which makes the experience for the candidates or for your employees who are going through this assessment in order to know the training so much more real and so much specific to what the what we're seeing in the industry today, what the industry uses today. So great job, Codility, on getting the VS Code incorporated into your platform. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, thanks, Gregory. I also wanted to show you another task that we've created at that AI-assisted engineering layer that we talked about earlier. So these are the skills that engineers would need to be more successful with AI assistants that are more embedded. And so we have here a task where the solution or the challenge is to code or program a cleaning robot that would move around the room in different patterns. So some are a little bit simpler, and as you go through some of these subtasks, the patterns and the layout of the room get harder and more complicated. One thing that we anticipate going forward is, again, as more of these AI assistants are being incorporated and adopted and integrated into workflows, more engineers will have them at their fingertips. And we suspect that that would be either a part of the hiring process if you're evaluating these types of AI-assisted engineering skills, or for post-hire with employees. You want to see, you want to benchmark, you want to see how well they're performing these types of tasks and demonstrating the skills that they're learning. So we have integrated an AI assistant that we call Cody. And here you can actually interact with it during a testing session. And so when we pull this up, I can start out asking Cody, how can I better understand this task? There's a lot of text here. There's a lot of information. Can you help me understand this task better? So I can ask Cody to, provide a little bit of a description for what's going on in this task. It gives me a little bit of a reduced down version of the instructions, and maybe helps me to think about it and understand it in a new way. But if I were to say, solve this task for me, it's not going to do that. So we've built guardrails around this. And I think just again, from a testing integrity standpoint, this is really important because we want to give either job candidates or employees that are testing a standardized experience, something that would be more like what they would have access to in the job. But we don't want to over assist them in a way where we're not actually getting to sample their knowledge and skills. So we have to build guardrails into these tools, but still make them available at their fingertips while they're going through a session. But I can ask Cody to help me write a helper function that shows the coordinates of the robot. And it can help me with some boilerplate code and give me a good indication of how I can start to piece this solution together and iteratively work on solutions that get more complex as they unfold. Very similar to how real life engineering problems happen and how you experience them. They unfold, their requirements change, maybe they get a little bit more complicated, and yet we still have these AI assistants and tools to help us. So I could paste this in here and start to play with that, and also monitor the output, go back and forth. The really cool thing about this is that we can then start to monitor and look at the transcript for how a test taker is interacting with AI assistants like this. If you're just working with, say, a shared screen or in their own IDE, and then you look at the final solution and you're not seeing that back and forth, you're missing out on a lot of great signal about these AI assisted engineering skills that we talked about previously. So we want to keep things observable, modern, and helpful, not too helpful to where we're not getting the right signal that we want or we're changing the nature of the assessment. But it's going to be helpful for us as we start to evaluate this going forward.
And
With
notice
that said, go ahead.
how easy it was to actually change the language that the candidate can choose to accomplish this task in as well. So I'm impressed by just the coverage of all different languages that the Codility platform supports there. So Python, of course, was chosen here by default, but there's a whole bunch of other things that can be chosen depending on your environment and your tech stack.
Exactly. And you could drill down into any of those other language-specific tasks here in the library, as I was showing you earlier. But I did just want to come back here real briefly to also just give you a sense for the AI readiness or AI skills that are needed for non-tech roles. So we know that there are good knowledge areas that we want to test candidates or employees for. And then going forward, as we really build out these types of interactions with Cody and integrated AI assistants, we can build new business related scenarios where that scenario is unfolding. It's not specific to programming or software development per se. It might be more related to a customer interaction or into a sales scenario, maybe even an HR scenario where you have to interact with a model to perform some type of task with the same observability, with the same standardization, the same scalability that we saw here. We know that that can be applied to other non-tech roles, which is a really exciting direction, especially as we looked at that layer and all of the automation and augmentation that AI is going to offer most of the jobs that we interact with today. With that said, maybe I'll pass the ball back to you, Lindsey, and we can take it from there.
Let's talk about how we can work all of this into workflows. I think this will be particularly interesting for Codility customers. Already have assessments set up in your platform, and how can we make this work within what we're already doing? Before I do that, I do want to take a quick moment, since Neil, you're humble, and I want to point out that you and the team and Gregory we've got over 135 tasks in that content pack already. So when I am talking about working this into your workflows, I really mean it. There is a load of tasks to choose from already, and so let's talk about what that might look like at these various layers, both for your hiring processes, but also within your existing teams today. So at this top layer, well, we're talking about AI builders, where those really core foundational theoretical and practical AI and machine learning skills are necessary. That is very likely to be perhaps the bulk or the majority of the technical assessment. So these are likely to be maybe brand new built assessments, where almost everything that is making up the technical assessment comes from this content pack, to make sure you're checking all of the relevant skills and boxes that you need to make these hires competently. Within your existing employee base, this can be used to really mine your existing engineering organization for some of those hidden gems, like who are the AI builders of the future within your existing teams. This could look like it could fit into some career pathing or some L&D programs, low stakes, really like motivating, trying to give people a chance to shine. Again, these would look like net new types of assessments. You could build them as sort of a challenge gauntlet style, but anything that is really, motivating to let people demonstrate what they know, so that maybe you have a lot of these skills already in-house. You don't, in fact, need to go hire. You can start from a really good foundation and upskill somebody. At the next level, at this AI-assisted developers level, in your pre-hire activities, you're hiring developers for all kinds of roles and disciplines within your engineering org. It's likelier that these AI-assisted skills, AI readiness skills, are going to be a complement to the questions that are assessing your sort of core engineering skills or core domain skills. So these might be additive to something that you're already doing within your existing teams. These could be deployed as simple pulse assessments to just make sure that the efforts that you have, that you're conducting to make sure that AI enablement, adoption, and skills are distributed evenly across teams within the tech organization, that's bearing out in reality. So you can just get a sense for, is this all happening in sort of a standard and equal way across the organization as I expect it? Do I have a learning opportunity over here? Is this team really firing on all cylinders, and how could I replicate that? So it's more of a pulse check, just to kind of see how the team is looking with respect to the skills related to AI-assisted development and integrating and efficiency here. And then at this bottom layer of the pyramid with AI users, this is a little bit newer. So I think this is where we're starting, we see a lot more variability in approach here. And it's all going to depend on the type of company, the organization, what current attitudes are towards AI. So if you're trying to assess AI skills and AI literacy within your hiring process and amongst candidates, maybe that means starting with a specific department that has greater AI literacy needs, and using that to assess the building block skills like computational thinking and problem solving, and some of those knowledge of security concerns, and start with almost like a pilot program in your hiring process, and then extrapolate it as needed to other domains and departments where those skills are more necessary. Within your employee base, you're trying to get a sense for what are attitudes and skills amongst my existing employees. Are we keeping up? Do we have a competitive advantage relatively, or do we see a need to enable AI internally more? Again, I think starting small and within key departments, creating an opt-in challenge for those who are really enthusiastic and want to demonstrate their skills, or maybe better understand their own skills out of a sense of curiosity. that's where, having things built out so that people can opt into a program and engage with it and see kind of where they stand. And then employers, of course, can see folks that do have that high aptitude and that high enthusiasm and sort of foster that even further. These are just, early ideas of how this content pack can already complement what you're doing with both hiring and with talent management and all of your upskilling initiatives. We, of course, want to hear from our customers, how is this fitting into your programs? Where are you seeing benefits? Are there gaps still? Grigori, I'd love to give you the opportunity now to tell us what is coming down the pipeline with respect to this particular initiative and how we're thinking about content more broadly.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope that our viewers with the demo that Neil has conducted got a good appreciation and the glimpse of the very, very applied contexts that we have built these activities and these tasks in, as opposed to perhaps something that is more theoretical in nature. I think this is the part of my advisory, frankly, that I'm trying to drive a lot of content being created that is very much rooted in the situations, in the needs of what's happening in the real world. So being super pragmatic is key here. So in addition to what you've seen, again, you'll see a lot. Definitely, we're going to make sure that this is like a iterative and continuous approach of refinements to those tasks based on what we hear from all of you. But there's additional topics that we will be developing as we go along, and there's a whole area of productization of ML and AI and the ML ops and that would need to be developed. On the literacy front, on the AI literacy front, there's also aspects that we have identified that we will be developing in the upcoming month. So that's as far as the AI content pack is concerned. I think the team is also super enthusiastic about bringing additional content packs to the market that focus on these pragmatic aspects of software and systems development that go beyond the simple knowledge of languages and frameworks, but help you evaluate skills beyond, again, accomplishing some kind of a functional development. So we are working on the content packs that would focus on performance engineering, for example, as well as design for maintainability. Again, super critical skills. Again, if you think about it, these are the kind of experiences and the competencies that I would like to see in the people who I'm bringing to my teams, or the ones that I would like to up level within my existing teams. So again, not just simply, hey, can you please accomplish the task and get something done here, but do it in a way that will be performant and secure and scalable and maintainable. Those are the very serious, very important concerns that are often a lot harder to get right after the fact, a posteriori, after things are built. So I want to get the people think about these aspects early on, and of course, again, the important thing here for us is to hear from you. Even the way how we would prioritize. I think I just outlined enough work for the content team for several months ahead. But please, again, either drop them in the comments or questions here, or there's also means how you can contact the product management team of Codility. But it is very, very, very valuable for us to hear from you what areas and pragmatic considerations and contexts you would like us to prioritize in the development. Right, Lindsey?
Absolutely. I want to hear not only how you're fitting it into your workflows, what other content packs, what other, deeper skills. In fact, we'll get a question about that here in a second, I think. What else do you want to see? And so definitely put that in the comments here. Reach out to your Codility representative. This is an ongoing cyclical feedback and development loop here. I think now's a great time to dive into the Q&A. And so I am going to go ahead and sort of pop around and moderate that. We've got just a couple here. Grigori, I think the first one's going to come to you. And the question is, do you believe you need the next level of specialization in the content packs? Not just AI for non-tech, but AI readiness for product management, UX, marketing, finance, etc. What a tee up. You teed yourself up sort of here. What's your take on the next level of specialization?
Uh, I think that's gonna come next. Just as we cover the basics and we kind of make this kind of initial set of what we call the computational thinking and the fundamentals covered well. I think the next level would be really, again, bringing individual, I don't know, sub packs or packs for the functions like product management. And again, while you can say the prompting and storytelling and data visualization skills apply universally across all these disciplines, but then you can start seeing that the tasks themselves can be catered, can be shaped up to actually be more relevant to that particular function. So in case of, I don't know, product managers, the task could be more like, hey, can you as you're doing your interaction with an AI system or prompt engineering, can you do market research? Can you do I don't know, feature request synthesis? Can you use AI to help with your prioritization exercises, right? And if you're the UX designer, then you're going to have, a different set of tasks and more tasks that are catering to creative use of generative AI techniques for the generation of various assets and collateral. So I very much think so that you're going to see from Codility as we also experience and see the way how this initial pack that we're launching today will be adopted, and based on that feedback that we're going to be bringing more of these. And similarly also on, not on the non-tech, but I think there will be specializations within the tech as well. So you're probably going to see a lot more on the SRE and the ML ops and things around, again, building the pipelines and dealing with the operational concerns and so on. So very good question. Thank you for that question, and it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. The next level of specialization will in part be determined by what it is that we're asked for. So not to be a broken record, but if that's something that's of interest, you can help affect which direction that takes. Next question, Neil, I think this one can come to you. Does your AI solution include questions and tasks that allow us to understand employee sentiment to adopt new technology such as AI? This sounds like an AI literacy question here, going back to that wide range of philosophies, I guess you could call it, towards AI.
Yeah, and we know the mindset needs to be there. I mean, that's true for a lot of different technology adoptions. So I can definitely see that. It definitely could be used in that way, can be used in that way. We would love to hear if that's of interest to everyone attending and listening, if you would want to see a very explicit measurement of AI sentiment, willingness to adopt those types of measures and attitudes and perceptions, please let us know. But just as far as an assessment being used in general, absolutely can be, just by the fact of how people engage with this content and how they come back to it and what they do with the results. So that's very true among employees in particular. So definitely possible.
Yeah, that's an interesting, I'd love to understand deeper the challenges that kind of underlie that question. We have 1 minute and I have a tactical question here for you, Grigori. Do you require access to a third-party AI processor like Microsoft's OpenAI, Meta's Llama, or ChatGPT to perform these tasks?
Again, the ones that are in there now and the ones that are fully automated as far as the checking is concerned, then no, you don't. Again, yes, underneath we're taking advantage of one of the processors, but the way how it is now encapsulated, you have Cody as the front, as a facade to that. So you can absolutely do all of that through Cody. Now, if you are, for your needs, require, I don't know, Gemini or Llama or Anthropic Claude, and you want any of these tasks to be performed within the realms of those respective systems, then yes, the expectation is that you as the candidate will have access to that. But it would be more appropriate in the context of the Codility platform that runs the live interview, right? So not the screening and the ones that we have demoed to you, where you get the benefit of the Codility platform being able to do the auto check-in and to kind of report on that and to help with the screening of these fundamental skills and the computational thinking and the basic skills. But also, again, I'm envisioning where I'm perhaps interviewing somebody more senior. And then in the context of the live session, I want to be able to provide the task and then to see how the candidate decomposes that task, and then talks about and shares their methodology of how they're going to address it. And then, perhaps address it or even, get to the result. But all of those nuances are critically important. So, but it's also extremely hard to truly, do the full automated check-in and grading of those skills. So the way we're envisioning, the way how this would be possible, is that through the live session, which I find particularly useful for the next level, advanced level thinking and skills. Competencies where you would be able to present it with the task, the candidate would be able to go about addressing it, and then as the interviewer or the manager, the technical manager, we will provide the guidance, the additional ideas and things to watch for, patterns, anti-patterns that will make your ability to do that assessment more effective. So that's how I see it. But again, so far within the examples that we gave you and a lot of tasks that you see today in the AI assisted developer category, you do not need to have any kind of third-party tool as a requirement.
What a lovely note to conclude this session on, a plug for the Codility Interviews platform and perhaps a next webinar topic. So thank you, Dr. Grigori Melnik, Dr. Neil Morelli, for joining us to talk about this exciting AI content development. Please use this QR code on screen if you would like to speak with a Codility representative or reach out to the CSM who managed your account to learn more. Thank you for attending and have a good day.